Australia just broke a 42-year-old national record in front of a packed stadium in Botswana. Bronze medal, fourth fastest country in world history. And within hours, an American who was not even there decided it did not count. That is a bold claim. But what the Aussies did next made sure nobody was talking about that American by the end of the night. Before we get to the fallout, you need to understand what happened in that stadium, because if you only read the headline, you miss the whole story. The 2026 World Athletics Relays took place on May 2nd and 3rd in Gaborone, Botswana. This was the first major World Athletics event ever held on African soil. The national stadium was packed. The crowd was loud before the first gun went off. Botswana had the Olympic 200-meter champion, Letsile Tebogo. They had the 2025 World 400-meter champion, Colin Kebonat-Shippey. And they were running at home. The expectation was enormous. 6 relay events were on the program. The men's 4x400-meter final was the last race of the weekend. It was always going to be the one that people remembered. But there was one major absence that set the tone for the entire conversation that followed. The United States did not enter a men's 4x400-meter team. Not a B team, not a C team. Nobody. USATF confirmed before the meet that it was pulling out of the men's and women's 4x400-meter entirely. The official reason was twofold. Top American 400-meter athletes were not interested in making the trip to Botswana, and the financial cost of sending second-tier squads was too high to justify. Jay Holder of USATF told reporters that there are better ways to use those resources heading into the 2027 World Championships and the 2028 Olympics. That decision did not go unnoticed. Botswana's athletes had pushed back publicly before the meet. The USA and Botswana had finished first and second in the men's 4x400 meter at both the 2023 World Championships and the 2024 Paris Olympics. The rivalry was real, and now there would be no rematch in Gaborone. So the Americans stayed home, and Australia showed up. On day 1, Saturday, May 2nd, Australia ran the men's 4x400 meter qualifying heat. Luke van Rettingen led off. Reese Holder took the second leg. They were not there to survive the heat and rest up. They came out and ran. The time was 2:57.30. That time broke Australia's national record, a national record that had been set in 1984, 42 years. That is how long it had stood. Holder spoke to reporters after the heat, and his words were calm but direct. He said the time had always been there for this team. It was just about going out and getting it done. He also pointed to something that matters for the bigger picture. He said they are still a young team. He said the time will keep coming down. They had also qualified for the 2027 World Championships in Beijing. The job was done on day 1. The final was still coming. Sunday evening, the final. 6 teams, 4 legs. One of the fastest 4x400 meter races in history was about to happen. Botswana sent out Lee Epi on the first leg. He ran 44.226 and handed to Letsile Tebogo. The stadium noise at that moment was not normal. Tebogo is the man in Botswana. He is the Olympic 200-meter champion. He ran 43.50 on that second leg. That is a fast split by any standard, but it was not enough to keep him in front. South Africa had Lythe Pillay on the second leg. Pillay is 23 years old. He had been eliminated in the individual 400-meter semifinals at both the 2024 Olympics and the 2025 World Championships. He had something to prove. What he ran on that second leg will not be forgotten. His split was 42.6 to 6 seconds. That is the fastest individual leg ever run in a 4x400 meter relay in the history of the event. The previous record was 42.94, set by American Michael Johnson at the 1993 World Championships. South Africa moved into the lead after the second leg. Botswana was second. Australia was in contention. Australia had Reese Holder on the second leg. Holder ran 43.12. Thomas Reynolds took the third leg for Australia and kept chasing. Botswana's Bayapo Ndori ran the third leg in 43.62 and kept his team close to South Africa. Then came the anchors. Botswana had Colin Kebonat-Shippey, the 2025 World 400-meter champion, the man their whole season was built around. He ran the anchor in 43.09 and brought Botswana home first. Final time, 2:54.47. That is the third fastest men's 4x400 meter relay performance in history. only 2 times are faster. Both belong to American teams. The world record of 254.29 set by the USA at the 1993 World Championships, and the USA's 254.43 from the 2024 Paris Olympics, where they beat Botswana by a tenth of a second in one of the great relay races in recent memory. South Africa crossed second in 255.07, the 5th fastest time in history. Reese Holder said after the race that the atmosphere was surreal. He said to come out and win a medal while running a time like that was hard to put into words. He was right. On any other day, a 255.20 would have won a global medal with room to spare. On this day, it was third. That is how fast this race was. Now we come back to where this story started. After the final, after the medals, after the national records, an American athlete who had not competed in Gaborone put out comments criticizing the Australian team's result. The exact framing was the argument that any medal won without the Americans in the field does not carry full weight, that the absence of the USA meant the competition was weaker, that Australia's bronze was not what it looked like on paper. That argument has a fatal problem with the facts. The only men's 4x400-meter relay times faster than Australia's 255.20 belonged to the United States, both of them. So, what the critics were saying is that Australia ran the 4th fastest time in world history and should be seen as lesser because the team with the 1st and 2nd fastest times of all time did not show up. The logic falls apart the moment you look at the clock. Australia did not run 255.20 in a weak field. They ran it in the same race where South Africa ran 255.07, the same race where Botswana ran 254.47, the same race where a 23-year-old broke a 33-year-old world relay split record. Any team that ran 255 and finished behind Botswana and South Africa in Gaborone deserved everything they got. There is another layer here that the criticism ignored completely. The United States chose not to come. That was their decision, and it was not forced on them. USATF made a strategic call that going to Botswana with available athletes was not worth the cost. That is a legitimate position for a federation to take. But when your athletes are not in the race, the criticism of who wins the race belongs to you, not to the people who showed up. Australia showed up. They trained for this. They flew to Gaborone. They broke a 42-year-old national record on day 1 and then went back out on day 2 and broke it again. The 4th fastest country in history. That is the fact. No criticism from outside the stadium changes that number. It is on the all-time list. It will stay there. The people doing the criticizing are not. What Australia did in Gaborone matters beyond the medal and beyond the record. This is a young team. Reese Holder said it himself. The record will keep coming down. If Australia runs anywhere near 255 with this core group at the 2027 World Championships in Beijing, with a full American team in the field, it will not be a surprise. It will be a statement that has been building since that qualifying heat on a Saturday evening in Botswana. The American critics wanted to make this story about absence. Australia made it about the clock. The clock won.